It's Black Friday 2024, and here's some plugins I recommend for music producers. Keep in mind, these are all plugins I suggest from personal usage, as well as some ones that I just recommend because they're a really good price this time of the year, so let's dive in. And I do want to shout out musicsoftwaredeals.com. This is a great resource if you are going to be buying plugins for the first time. This is a great way to save money. It allows you to compare different platforms and what they charge for the exact same plugin. It's kind of like Honey, it's kind of like Rakuten, but just for music production gear, which is great. This is going to be the top 50 plugins that they do recommend right now. They're giving the sale price as well as the full price. I'm just going to kind of scroll down and just kind of highlight some ones I'd really recommend just based on the savings and based on the price and how good they're going to be. The first one, get Oxford Inflator, dude. It's $29 this time of the year. Usually goes for like $150 on Plugin Boutique. You can just check it out. We'll just open another tab and just see what it usually goes for. Yeah, it's like $156. $29 is a steal. I would 100% get it. This is one of the last things in my mastering chain that I always use. It gets that extra bit of loudness in your track. I recommend it, honestly. It's a great tool, and $29, you can't beat that. So next plugin I recommend is Pro Q3 by Fabfilter. If you don't have a quality EQ, you're shooting yourself in the foot. This is the one and be all one that I use for everything. You've probably seen on other music production tutorials. I'm not really sure what they're doing with this EQ right here, but it's a great plugin. I use it for pretty much everything when it comes to a visual EQ because it allows you to mix stereo, mid-side, as well as mono, and allows you to split the channels in a great way. So all these different, dots and beads right here, you can switch to how they're actually EQing the track. For example, if I wanted to just cut the mids and the actual mid, not the sides, I can change that one dot to just be the middle. So it gives you great versatility. You can actually add side chaining within the EQ as well, which is a great way to work on it. For $26, it's not bad. Not a bad deal. You can probably see right here, there are a bunch of different platforms that do offer the exact same price. This one, Best Service, is offering the best deal. I have never used them before, so it is worth keeping in mind, like, is it worth spending the extra $8 to get buying it through Plugin Boutique where you're actually going to get money on the back end because they do offer some sort of loyalty program? Could be worth it for you. I would always recommend going with the option that you feel safest with when you are, purchasing something with your credit card, just to make sure you're safe. But ProQ and all the other Fabfilter plugins, I believe, are 25% off. They're actually a little bit cheaper now that I'm seeing on a lot of the places. But you can see too on this far right tab, the previous lowest price is a great resource because if, for example, some of these prices were a lot cheaper back in even just this year, 2024, I would maybe hold off. I would maybe just see they had a lower price this year, but now, Black Friday is supposed to be the lowest price that the company is supposed to sell their product for. I would maybe wait and maybe get a better deal elsewise. You can see it was $106 in 2022, which was 2 years ago. So it's like, okay, I don't really know if it's going to go on sale again for that price. You can see some of these plugins are crazy. Like RC20 was $19 back in 2022. I don't think it's going to around again. I think it's going to stay like a pretty solid $100 plugin because it's popular and they know they can sell it at the price that they're asking. So that's another one I really recommend if you don't have it already. RC20. A free alternative would be Izotope Vinyl. It's a good kind of, tape emulation plugin you can throw on as an effect. This gives you more control, but I do think that you can get away with something a little bit cheaper if you are strapped for that. Kind of scrolling down a little bit, you can see like Saturn 2. That's a plugin that I was definitely interested in a couple years ago because the boy Skrillex uses it, but you can see it was $46 back in April, which is insane. Actually insane. That's half of what they're asking for it now on Plugin Fox. That would be one I'd be like, all right, I'm going to bookmark it. I'm just going to maybe wait. I think they do offer price alerts, which is crazy. So if you do have an email with them, they'll straight up tell you like when the actual plugin goes on sale, which is great and I highly recommend. Antares is a great plugin to look into. I personally use Waves Real Tune for my auto tuning and pitching. Get it while you can. Antares is a great kind of standalone plugin. Everyone uses it. It's pretty easy to use. You just lock in the key and pitch and you're good to go. I would recommend that for a lot of people, especially if you are mixing and producing by yourself. Having a good auto tune / pitch shifting plugin is great for you to just make sure that you're singing in key and that everything is going to be locked in. Izotope, great plugin company. If you are mastering and working on doing all your stuff by yourself, having a good limiter and a good mastering software suite is a great way to learn and a great way to get your stuff at a level that's going to be competitive with other songs in your genre. Izotope is a great plugin. I don't really use their chain anymore for the mastering that I do, but for other genres, for example, like folk, rock, punk, they have a great array of presets you can kind of scroll through. And then once those presets sound, 60 to 70% of the way there, you can dial it into what you actually want as an artist. So I highly recommend getting some sort of Izotope Ozone plugin. Ozone is their standalone mastering software where you throw it onto your master chain. It has everything: EQ, limiter, saturation, tape emulation, pretty much a standalone software. It allows you to kind of do everything in one plugin, which is nice because rather than having to download an EQ, download a saturator, download and kind of piece together your own Frankenstein master chain, you just have this one standalone plugin that'll to do it about 90% of the way there, which could be worth it for you. For $79 is pretty cheap. They do offer additional upgrade packages that can be cheaper if you do buy it directly from the website. If you look up, if we're just going to look up Izotope and just see how expensive that would be buying it separately, you can see the advanced is $160. So it's not bad. Not too bad at all, actually. I would recommend going with the advanced. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you go for the super basic version because you are limited in the amount of modules you can use. And sometimes it's going to be a little bit tricky on getting it really dialed in with what you want. The other plugin actually that's not on this top 50 is RX11 Advanced. This is something I highly recommend for anyone that's recording at home, is either recording with not the best gear or they're struggling with making sure that their vocals are as clean as possible or their recordings are as clean as possible. I don't really know if you need the advanced version. You can see the standard version is 240. I would get it. I would highly recommend you get it. RX11 is basically allowing you to fix any sort of issue with your audio. For example, if you run a podcast and you want to fix your audio, for example, if someone's doing some weird into the mic or they're like breathing really weird or they're, pounding the mic or inhaling it where there's clipping happening. This will basically fix that and allow you to adjust the volume and get it as transparent and as cleaned up as possible. I use it a lot for intersample clipping. For example, if someone's recording too loud in their DAW, throw this on, bounce it to audio, and 90% of the time it's fixed. It sounds great. It sounds like there's no clipping. It's really good for other random pops and clicks that can sometimes happen when you're recording on your interface. It's either too close to an outlet or there's something wrong with it, causing those random pops and clicks to come in. This is a great plugin to throw on top and it fixes that immediately. $240 is not bad. $240 is not bad. It's almost half off compared to the normal price of $400. It could be worth it if you are a mixing engineer, you're mastering for people. I recommend you get it. It's going to save you so much time. I can't tell you how many headaches it solved for me personally from just throwing it on like a problematic vocal that just needs to get fixed or needs to have something removed in it, and I'm done in 30 seconds, which is a great time. But just talking about other plugins I recommend, Excellent Audio is a great also plugin company to look at that are hopefully will have stuff on sale. I think they have, was it like 30 or 40, 50% off for some of their plugins. I recommend checking out Life by Excellent Audio. It's a cool vocal AI plugin. This is right here. Allows you to basically drag in custom sounds, loops, or video clips even, and it'll chop them up into custom percussion loops. You can bounce its audio, you can bounce stems from it. It's great. I use it a lot for just getting that extra amount of texture. It's really fun throwing Foley samples to it actually and getting some cool polyrhythms and stuff like that. So it's a good way to add that extra bit of crunch to your tracks. RC20, I believe, is 50% off. It's going for like $49. $49 can't beat that price. Going basically for half off. I would recommend you get it if you can. And other than that, the one thing I really recommend for anyone that is buying plugins for the first time, make sure you set a hard budget on how much money you actually want to spend. Do not spend more money than you can afford, because even if the deal is too good to be true, 90% of the time, unless you have been eyeing a plugin for a really long time, you might just not use the plugin as much as you thought you were going to use. I have bought stuff in the past where I purchased it and I opened it once or I opened it twice and I was like, wow, this is like not good. Like I thought it was going to be better for what it was. And either I stopped using it or it's just, I try to get a refund for the license and I can't. Be very, very picky on what plugins you're actually buying. Make sure if you can, try to demo for a week and really test it out and see if it's worth it for you. And then consider buying a full version if you do like that demo. Most companies will offer some sort of trial version available for their plugins. Do it. Those are the plugins I'd really recommend for any beginner producers. The best plugins, in my honest opinion, are the ones that come with your DAW. So if you have Logic, you have Ableton, have FL Studio, the built-in plugins are going to be great for what you need to do right now. Most of the time when I'm personally buying plugins nowadays, I'm buying stuff that my DAW can't do. So for example, the Excellent Life audio plugin is great because it's a music generator essentially. It allows me to generate drum loops on the fly. Another example would be Synthplant 2. I'm not sure if Synthplant 2 is even going to be on sale. Synthplant 2 is a preset patch generator, which allows you to create patches from a audio reference as well as just like having fun with it. So Synthplant's a really cool one. Maybe recommend checking it out if you can. I don't think it's on sale. At this point, I'm really looking for plugins that are kind of just cool and giving me another tool and just making sound different, which is really important. I didn't actually talk about this one. I do want to shout this company out, but Minimal Audio's Rift is crazy. If you do any sort of harder, more distorted, kind of grungy-esque genre, get this plugin. It never goes on sale. It's $64. It's so goddamn good. It's so good. I can't stress that enough. Just kind of throwing it on a guitar patch and just kind of scrolling through different presets and just bouncing that to audio and then manipulating it again is so fun. This plugin is insane. This plugin's great. I love using it a lot. I use it in pretty much every track at this point because sometimes you just want a little bit of sass in that hi-hat sound or a little bit of sass in that guitar loop. It's a great way to add that extra bit of layers. It's always fun to play around. So one plugin actually company that I do want to check out real quick is I want to see if Soundtoys is actually offering any. Okay, well apparently it's only $200 if you buy it from Audio Deluxe. That's crazy. That's nuts. If you don't have Soundtoys plugins already, these kind of fall into the category of like these are just cool plugins to kind of throw on and just have fun with. Highly recommend you check them out. Highly recommend. I have a lot of fun playing around with them. My go-tos right now are the little altar board that I use a lot for vocal chops and vocal manipulation. Same goes for Devil Lock. It's a cool like distortion amp plugin. And I use a little plate actually for all my reverbs. I'm not even sure if they have it on here. That's what I use for a lot of the vocal reverbs that I use. I think they have Super Plate, which is probably better. Soundtoys. Soundtoys is great. If you are looking for recommendations for plugins, I highly recommend checking r/audio production deals for people's recommendations on solid plugins to buy. At minimum, have a budget already figured out. Don't overspend that budget, and just really have a nitpicky list of what you actually want to buy for Black Friday to make sure you're getting the best deal possible.